Welcome to another of our video interview sessions. This time I'm pleased to announce that we have Kim from Wavelength joining us, and we'll begin talking about the challenges and tips around the recruitment space. So first of all, Kim, thank you for joining us, and if you want to just introduce yourself and a little bit about Wavelength.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me on, Mark. Yes, I'm Kim. And I'm from Wavelength. So a bit about me is I'm originally a chartered accountant and qualified with a large firm, then moved into large local firm advising businesses of all sizes. From that point, joined a business and as the finance director, and then founded a company that grew from 2 people to 70 people in a space of about 2 years. So it was a crazy growth trajectory.
Wow.
And after that time, that's when we realised that if you're in a growing business, and finding good people who are great at their job, fit your team, and stick around is one of the most challenging things you can do. And that sort of led to the formation of Wavelengths, which was 6.5 years ago. So Wavelength was founded on the basis that finding great people is probably one of the biggest challenges that you face as a business and as a team. But how do you build a great team? That's why we're here, to answer that question, a simple question: how do you build a great team? So that's what Wavelength does.
Absolutely, thank you. And you know, we've heard a lot about sort of businesses sort of being under pressure, you know, with the subsequent things that have appeared. So we started off with sort of Brexit, we then come out with the pandemic and furlough. So how's that affected the recruitment market, and what have you seen by way of changes as a result of that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. An interesting one. I think Brexit has obviously had an impact. So especially for certain industries, so hospitality, logistics, construction, they're the ones that you might have heard about where people are struggling to find people. But Brexit has had a much bigger impact on the job market, because there's just less supply of people out there who are looking for work. And then that's compounded by the pandemic, where people have been either on furlough or not actively on the market. I think a lot of people are sitting where they are now, and furlough ends at the end of this month in September. So we're going to see. So at the moment, it's a very, very, very competitive market at the moment. But that's not something that still doesn't solve the actual bigger issues that are around the recruitment market, which are recruitment is built around you have a problem, and you have a problem that has become a big issue for you, and you need help now. So that it's a very much a friend of mine calls it break fix. So you've got a problem, and you need to fix it. And that's typically the problem with the recruitment market. And people are going out into the market, and you go, well, I've got this problem, but where do I find the good people? So what do I do? So because you can advertise in a million different places, you can use an agency who might help you try and help you find some people. But you're still in this situation where you're out in the market looking for people, and it's very difficult to do that. And then people don't help themselves set themselves in the right way, because the big thing for us is strategy should come into your recruitment. Because if you've got a plan for your business and you're growing, let's say your growth trajectory is like that, your headcount, most businesses will be like that. So you'll end up with a situation where you're growing. Even we've got a client at the moment, they're growing at 5% a year, which you would think, oh, that's it's a good level of growth, but it's not massive. But their headcount, they can't get the people to grow to support that growth. And then obviously, if you have attrition where people are leaving, you end up in this situation where we call it the growth talent dilemma, because you've got this big gap here. And this is then when you're going into the market, you're in this position of you've got a problem, but you haven't taken the steps to think about it strategically in the first place. And that is probably the biggest thing that we see, and the biggest impact that you can make is bring strategy into your recruitment and make your recruitment a strategic activity.
And we absolutely see that from our end as well, Kim. We work with our clients who say, I seem to be just in this vicious circle where I'm sort of recruiting, I'm onboarding, I'm training, I get a little bit of productivity, and then that individual leaves, and then they start it over and over and again. So strategy is one of those things that's helped to break that cycle. What other sort of tips and hints can you bring to sort of try and get to a point where your recruitment activity is one that you are planning for rather than reacting to, as you've just described?
Yeah, absolutely. So we in a business, again, from my background as an accountant, you're very much about planning forward, and from a financial perspective being one, but secondly, you might be planning your sales, where they're coming from, your growth. But then the recruitment should be part of those conversations, because you can't achieve those things without having the right people in place in your business. So they really should be, and this is something that we work with clients on regular. So we work regularly with people, with our clients, to talk about and help them bring strategy into their recruitment process as part of their wider strategic activities. And the thing that a tool that we use that we've created that you hopefully the people listening could use and maybe take away from themselves is, we call it the telescope. And some of these questions might sound obvious, but you'll be amazed that people, if you ask yourself these questions, it will literally transform the way you recruit. So the first question is, why are you looking to hire for this position? Now, that doesn't mean we need more sales, or we need to do some marketing, or we need someone, the finance person's left and we need to replace them. There's a wider reason why you're trying to hire this person. It might be to bring efficiency into your business. It might be to bring knowledge in from the outside, because you can then use that to do something else. It might be you're going into a different market. That one question should be asked at the start every time you even, before you go out into the market looking to recruit. Why are we looking to recruit this role? Because we have lots of examples of where people we've worked with have said, I need, there's a good example actually where someone said, I need a head of customer service. Because we want to reduce the level of attrition from our customer base, and we want to keep our customers. So we need a head of customer service to make sure that these people don't leave. Just by asking them that question and going through it, he changed his position and realized that he needed an operational position, because if he'd improved his operational process, then he wouldn't be having the customer issues that he was facing down the line. So that's a really important question to ask yourself. What is the bigger reason to why we're recruiting for this position? I don't know if you see, is that something that you see when you're in HR?
Absolutely. We see people sort of just replicating what they've done before, because that's what they think that they need. And actually, without having a real clear understanding of why you're recruiting and who you're recruiting, when the individuals join the organization, there's a slightly mismatch of expectations, because the candidate is going, I've been coming in to do this particular piece, and that's what they've got through the process. When actually they get in, sometimes that misalignment is, as you described, well, actually, I'm doing the customer service piece, but I'm suffering the same issues as my predecessor was, because you've not looked at something else here. And I think absolutely, Kim, and I think that's that. Sometimes just to step back and just have this, you say, have that telescope view, the wider view around why you're doing it. And I think it's really important sometimes that you've got to take that subjective view as well, and bring others into that conversation, because we find it's really important. And we find sometimes that just writing stuff down, isn't it, really just helps focus the mind, because actually when you get things down on paper, you realize that maybe that there's some things there that you've not yet thought about, and somebody else then, as you say, has that prompt that says, well, what about this, or what about that? And it really does help that. So I don't know, and I suppose that helps you in your piece, if you have that clear understanding, because as you say, you've been 100%. asked to recruit a salesperson, where actually what you wanted was an operations person.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second question that we ask is, so now you've thought about why you're looking to hire for this position at a bigger level, and you're 100% right. Everyone needs to agree, because one of the biggest sort of tripwires you can come up against in the recruiting process is that the people maybe say just typically at board level haven't agreed what they're looking for, and then what you'll find is someone will come in down the line. Oh no, that's not what we wanted. We wanted this, and then you've just sort of completely derailed yourself. So it's a really big issue. And so the second question we ask is which is, what would success look like for this role in 12 months, and how would you measure it? So you've understood why you're looking to recruit. So let's say we want to expand into a different market. So when we want to expand to the northern part, we're in the south, we expand to northern England. What would success look like for this role? And what this does is it focuses the mind on the key important things that matter, or the key performance indicators for this role that you can measure. Because how do you know whether it's been a successful hire and it's helped you achieve the thing that you wanted to do, unless you know how to what the good result looks like and how you can measure it? Because what this stops people doing, and again, is bringing in a laundry list of things that they would like this person to do. So we call them Franken jobs. So where like someone will go, oh, we want the salesperson, and then go, oh, wouldn't it be nice if they could do a bit of marketing as well? And then actually, wouldn't it be good if they could do some accounting too? And you end up with this job that is just it's like Frankenstein's job, and because you've lost sight of the reason why. Well, this is why we're doing it, but how can you measure it? So what we say is like some core measurables that you can put in place that will help you then go into the next process of setting the criteria. And that's really important. So the next question that we ask is, so now you've understood why you're hiring, what success and how you measure it. The third one is, what day-to-day activities does this person need to do to achieve that success in 12 months time? Because again, it stops this creep in of things that don't really matter, but employers you can get sucked into this. I want them to have this and I want them to have that. And then you go out into the market and you wonder why you can't find anyone. Because the market is challenging, and Brexit and the pandemic, of course, but everyone's facing these challenges. But what you can do to help yourself is not go out there with a big laundry list of criteria that doesn't really matter. Just focus on the couple of things that really matter. And then that will open you up to a bigger talent pool.
Absolutely. And I think, looking at skill sets as well, so looking at a 12-month period, if you're wanting someone to come in to stabilize something, then that is a slightly different skill set than you want somebody who is going to basically grow and enhance, isn't it? And sometimes when mixing those two together, actually you've got to be really clear on what is your key requirement here, because you may have someone that's great for the first 6 months if that's their skill set and that's what they enjoy, and then the following 6 months they're saying, actually I'm now bored because I've fixed everything and all I'm now being asked to do is to maintain and sort of evolve and caretake. And so it's a great viewpoint, isn't it? 12 months looking backwards and saying, okay, so what is it I'm looking to achieve? And I suppose as well stops you then having that sort of that repetition around, okay, so they were great for the first 6 months, but they've sort of not doing what we wanted them to do now, which is
exactly. I mean, this is something obviously we would recommend that you bring into your management. So your appraisal process and managing this person, the KPIs that should be set should be around, well, this is what you're here to do, and this is what we've agreed. The measurables are in place. Have you hit that? And I think it makes the appraisal process more focused. That's not an area that we go into. Obviously, that's where you come in. But if you want someone to stick around, one of the biggest reasons people leave a job the biggest reason people leave a job is for poor cultural or value fit. And 89% of mishires, this is a stat, so people that haven't worked out in a role are because of poor culture and value fit. But then the other big reason, which is maybe we can talk about that in a minute, but the other big reason is motivation. So people aren't motivated or fulfilled by the role. So if someone knows why they're there and they're there to do something, and it's very clear for them and it excites them, then they want to stay there. But if you're bringing them in and you're going, oh yeah, no, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, and then what happens is you've veered so far off where they were originally there. They're saying, what I came here to do this, and now I'm doing that.
Yeah,